Hey everybody, welcome back to my layout. That's a good way to start things off, a derailment on camera. Let's take a quick look at this before we see what's new on the layout. Very last car in the train, trip pin caught the edge of the concrete grade crossing. It's probably why the prototype has those metal deflectors kind of on the edges of the concrete. Yeah, dead giveaway, trip pin. It really hung up on there too. Alright, let's go see what the damage is at the other end. So this is a 32 car train, and both the mid section was going through the turnouts down here, and looks like we stringlined a few. 4 on the ground down at this end. And they hit pretty hard too. Hopefully it didn't break anything. Okay, well, this will be a layout update for May 2020. I'll get these cars cleaned up and this train rolling again, and then I'll show you what's new on the layout. Alright, it's all cleaned up down at that end. Nothing damaged besides my pride. And on my layout, when I get troublemakers like that with trip pins, this is what happens. Fixed. There we go. This is an inner mount, and it seems like the couplers are a little bit droopy there. That might have been the problem. Off you go. So not too much new on the layout, guys. It's been super nice here, so we've been trying to take advantage of the nice weather and spend as much time outside with the kids as we can. But for the little bit of time that I have had, I've been doing a little bit of kind of some small detail stuff on the layout. And the first thing I did, if you notice down here, there's a couple little pails laying there, yellow pails. So I made these. These are, you see these around in a lot of prototype pictures. But these are firesnake pails, and they use these on the prototype to heat up the rail basically if they're going to do a cut or a weld. If they have a break in the winter, they need to make the rail expand. So I actually made the artwork for these on Corel Draw before I realized how tiny they were going to be. I don't know, we might not be able to get it to focus here. So I spent a whole bunch of time doing the artwork for these before I realized how tiny they were going to be when I printed them. A 5-gallon pail in HO scale is tiny. So you can see it next to the truck tire there. But I actually did recreate the artwork as best I could using photographs of empty pails that I've seen laying around. And the artwork on my computer looked a lot better than it ended up looking up on the printed thing, but still pretty cool. You can see the firesnake label there. And really, I think they're like, they come with 10 pieces in a pail, and they're like a rope that's soaked in kerosene, I think, or there's something that makes them flammable. So that's just a neat little detail to include, kind of laying around by the maintenance away shed here. Put them in backs of trucks. All it is a about a 1/16 sprue from Kato detail parts, and just cut to length. You can see that here this foreman's got a couple in the back of his truck. So a couple more little detail things for the yards. I think I had shown this one like a long time ago when I first did these, but this is one of the newer no trespassing signs in Banff Yard, these big ones. They're quite a large sign in English and French, and they're on these big like 6x6 wood poles. Pretty cool. They're a little bit new for my era, for the era that I'm going to build this station to, but they're so cool and they're quite big, so they look good in HO scale. So I thought I'd include them. And then beside it is one of the classic CP no trespassing signs. And these are put there just based on prototype pictures, just like the real thing. So one other little detail thing I finished was the mile marker at Banff West, so it's got a mile marker 82 there. Put it on one of those PDC galvanized poles, painted it silver. And then I also put some code 55 rail into the ground there. They kind of use it like a parking bollard almost on the railway. So just like on the prototype at Banff West, there's a couple rails driven into the ground here to protect, which will be there will be a transformer sitting here. So I think that's why they're there, is to kind of make sure no one drives into that thing. Microengineering code 55 rail, airbrushed it brown. There's just a different view. I really like how that code 55 rail looks when it's in the ground like that. It looks right, you know. It's so tiny, has such a narrow kind of web of the rail. They look right to my eye. So the other thing over here at Banff I was working on is I just kind of started messing around with some of the sidewalk out in front of the station here. I was thinking about doing printed, but I don't have good enough kind of photos. It's a really interesting kind of sidewalk they did where part of it's cement and then part of it is this like almost like flat river rock that they grouted in. So the portions that are cement, I just did this with pencil and a ruler, just going along and making little lines to kind of make it look like stamped cement brick. It looks okay, but I think I need to do some weathering with powders and stuff to get some different color in there. And if we just look to the left a little bit here, I started a couple pieces of the station. Have no idea what I'm doing or how I'm going to build this thing. It's so big. It's kind of presenting some challenges of, you know, what material do I build this out of? Because I don't want to be so thick that, you know, the doorways and everything are just super obviously thick. But I also want to make it sturdy enough that it can stand up. And I've already run into issues. This piece here alone is 24 inches long, and that's the biggest styrene I have right now. I'll have to probably get some more, but it's pretty floppy, you know, with this 2mm styrene. So I just cut a few pieces to kind of brainstorm and get an idea of how I'm going to build this thing. I could build it out of maybe 1/8 hardboard or something, but then again, if you're going to do cutout windows and doors, you're going to end up with these really thick looking windows when you can see through them. So not 100% sure on how I'm going to do that yet. I am designing the whole thing on a 3D CAD program called SketchUp, and what that does is just make it easy for me to figure out the dimensions of stuff. So I build it basically in 3 dimensions virtually, and then I can just get the dimensions of each piece that I need to make, and then it's kind of simple. I don't have to be figuring stuff out. I know exactly how big they need to be. So maybe I'll show you guys the 3D drawing next month, because it's still pretty rough right now. I'm still working on it, so maybe I'll make a note to show that in the next month layout update. I did start a bunch more trees, but this is as far as I got. I'm really struggling to find motivation to work on these trees, you know, especially when it's nice out. The last thing I want to do is be down in the basement working on these trees. It drives me crazy making these things. So I got this far. I've got sawdust kind of glued to the trunks of all these different, and I'm using the thinner wire gauge now. The ones I made in the corner there just seemed a little bit too thick, so this is a slightly thinner wire gauge, and then just all random sizes, and I'll be making them kind of the same way I've made those other ones in the past. If we just pan up here, I got a bunch of old trees from my first layout that I saved. These ones look a lot better. These are wire trees that I actually twisted many years ago now. And these ones were on my layout. I twisted the wire and then I never did anything with them. I should have, you know, I never finished them. So I dug those out of the box. I had carefully packed them all away when I packed up the last layout. And I'm going to put them on, save them, and reuse them on this layout. So that's kind of cool. There'll be a little bit of legacy carryover from the old layout. Some of them are pretty nice, actually. So I was looking for a HO scale gas meter for my switch heater at Banff West. The one side of the building has a little gray gas meter, just a typical one. Looks like a residential style gas meter. I was going to try and build it from scratch, but they're tiny, like in HO scale. They're really small. So I just thought, well, I'll just do a quick Google search and see if I can come up with something. I found these right away, and what caught my eye right off the bat was they got the fingerprint of somebody on here holding one in their hand, and then the more kind of exploded view here. And I was looking at in the background, you see the wood grain there on the building behind it. just showing you how tiny this thing is. And it looks awesome. Like, you see all the detail that's on that meter. All you can see the flanges and the threaded connections and everything. So had to grab some of these. So these are from Interaction Hobbies. Got it on the internet. They're still shipping, you know, during the pandemic and everything. They're $6.95 for a 3-pack. So I got a couple of them just in case I need a few more for the layout later on. So let's open this up and take a look at what's inside. So you can see on the back side of the packaging, they're packed in pillowcases too, which is interesting. So there it is right there. This thing is solid. Teeny tiny gas meter. I'll just open one of these up. So that's what it looks like out of the pillow pack. And I can't tell, I think it's 3D printed. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks really cool. Lots of detail on there. I guess it would sit like this on the outside of the building. So I look forward to painting these up. I'll paint all 6 of them at once just so that they're done, and I do it all in one kind of workflow. So we'll take a look at these after I'm finished painting. So that's everything new on the layout, guys. Next month, hoping to just continue on the station. That's kind of the big thing that's holding me up now. I did finish a little bit of scenery past the Greyhound bus there over in this area as well, so I can prepare for signals. I've got a bunch coming from Showcase Miniatures, so I'm excited to show you guys those next month when they come in and I start building them. And that's probably what I'll be doing in my spare time. I mean, the weather's been beautiful here, so we're really trying to take advantage of that. Get the kids outside, soak in a bit of sun. It's nice after you had a super long and cold winter up here. So if you're in North America, hopefully you're enjoying the lead up to summer and you've had a good spring. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.